So there you go. There's your piece of shit Ukrainian president who everybody still thinks is a hero because they watch the news and think it's real. Congratulations, you dumb fucks.
And let me know down below if you can hear me. A little bit different today, a little bit different, right? You know, the crypto market, things are changing, and but not so much that we cannot spare a day to actually perhaps even talk about things that actually have a substantial impact on the way we invest, on the world, but also on the global financial markets. They lie and lie and lie, and they do worse. But before we start, I want to say the first thing. Thank you, John. Thank the good Lord that it's finally over with the filth of misinformation. Finally, the last indecent and dishonest journalist has been removed from the respectable and honorable mainstream media outlet. And yes, I'm talking about Tucker Carlson.
Yeah.
I know this is a little late to talk about Tucker Carlson, and thank God he's coming back. But Tucker Carlson, and if you ask me, he is anything but indecent and dishonest. In fact, I think Tucker was the last man standing who actually did go out of his way to find, question, and ultimately share the truth. Because let's be honest and face it, the Western world has forsaken all of its former values. The Western countries, the global or Western global media, in the countries that you and I come from, perhaps not live in anymore, but where we come from, they're no longer democracies. There is no free speech, no free minds, no free or no rule of law, or accountable governments. The most Western governments, they've turned into self-serving institutions, oppressing everything that's supposed to be free and just and promote equality. So in today's video, I wanted to share with you a few ways and sources where I gather my misinformation from. Now, it might not be as entertaining as Tucker. He is number one. I'm happy he's coming back. Yeah, as I said, not so entertaining, but ultimately, even if it is a little more challenging, complicated to find or go through, the truth can still be found for those who choose to seek it. And I believe that you want to know the truth. So let's start, and I think it goes a little something like this. I want to welcome you to Investors Reality here on Crypto Never Sleeps. In case you're new to this channel, you want to stay on top of the crypto world and also a little bit of geopolitics, well then please hit like, smash, and subscribe so that you can be notified every time we upload new videos and live streams, so that you can, and this is important to me, protect your wealth, preserve your wealth, and ultimately increase your wealth. My name is Nico Arachi, and I love, you see we got Kitty here. No, there's Kitty. Kitty is here. Anyway, first things first, we still need to go in and have a look at the market, level of market manipulation. There we go. And I'm down in the corner here, dancing. Anyway, we're seeing Bitcoin down 1.37 at slightly below 27,000. We're looking at the 15-minute chart as always when we start here, this little show of ours. Ethereum 1,824 down 0.08, I mean hardly anything. And then we got DOT down 1% and the Cardano 0.87. I mean, not a lot going on, and that's why I thought it was a good thing not to spend time on looking at the 7-day moving average. Anyway, we need to see where it's gonna go. There is one coin, and not the one coin, but just before we get into Traders Reality, we've been stocking up a lot today on Arweave. Unfortunately, this is not like, you know, that we can really move the chart like we can with certain other shit coins. But just remember, everything I say and do should not be considered financial advice. You know, I don't know shit about crypto and I don't own anything. And I'm pretty happy. Happy because Betty owns it all. And I got Betty. Anyway, here with Arweave, which is decentralized storage, I just wanted to point that out. We will also launch a video with, but I think that, since we had this, now we're looking at the weekly, so we can see we had the all-time high, which was 90, 2021, and currently at $6.63. Now we are looking at the daily, so we can see here it did go in December, the end of December, basically, but we also around that time when we also saw Bitcoin hitting its low, we saw Arweave go down to around 6, and then it kind of skyrocketed. So we already own a few, but we are certainly taking this opportunity to average in. And that's all I got to say about cryptocurrencies today. But of course, before we move on, who is in the chat? Anybody here? Anybody here? I can see we got Incono French. You're not late, my friend. I was late. Persian Empire's back. And we got Lee Prince. Where have you been? Good to see you back. Leopoldi Gandara. Numero uno. That's what you are. Numero un. That's what you are. And we got Salona Puri. Which side in India? On any guess, which side is India on? Any guess? Which side? Well, let's know which side. That's a good question. Hello, Gobi. What do you say? Russian, of course. Which side is Indian? Oh, now I got. Yeah, I believe also Russia. That's a good question, and it's about time that we talk a little bit about geopolitics, because this is ultimately that is shaping the world. And I mean, the BRICS, right? The BRICS. I mean, you know who the BRICS are, right? These are the nations. I mean, there are more than 7 now, but they already have a GDP that has surpassed the G7. And the BRICS, they're launching a new currency, perhaps even on the blockchain, that is supported by real-world assets. A real world, you know what I'm talking about, gold, commodities and shit. The dollar's gone. Anyway, I believe, but it is a good question. It was a good question because which side is India on? Because India is still playing it. India is in BRICS, but they're still also doing, we know that, they're still doing a little bit of, to be honest, a little bit of kissy-kissy also with the United States, right?
Kissy-kissy.
Steve Pygmy is here, and of course my dear friend Ron Jeremy, the porn star. All he does is drinking those porn star martinis. Thomas, you're saying you miss investors' reality. Yeah, well, it is a reality that we have to face as investors. Michael, what do you say? They lie. Yeah, they do. And Phil Marshall, good to see you. Milano is in the house. Red Start. How is it in Milano? Damn, I miss Italy. Best food in the world. I gotta say, Italy, and I mean, in a French, I know numero un. I mean, I spent a lot of time in France, and especially going this weekend here to Annecy again. But I still think the Italian kitchen, huh? Mamma mia. No. I mean, it's all good. Everything is good, but no, food in Italy is really something special. Anyway, and Japan. So what else do we have here? And that's it. Good. Shahida meet my Arweave, better bet than Filecoin. I think you're right. Especially also we're not talking about coins, but the Arweave, as in case any of you do not know, it's decentralized storage, and they got a huge client called Meta, right? Facebook. I mean, that's pretty good shit. And what do we got here? Matamoose, Raoul, South Africa. I really want to go to South Africa. That's a place I want to go. We'll have to choose one over at the end. That is true, I think. But let's say if you were India, right? Where would you go? Obviously, we'll go with China and Russia. I mean, we got to see the world. I mean, the Roman Empire is dead. Set's dead. I mean, Biden. I mean, they're dead. It's over. The dollar's over. At least that's how I see it. Anyway, Rainy Nico is. Anyway, so Meta is not with. Is it true? Wow. Whoa, we gotta look at that. That's ooh, thank you for sharing that. And that is a warning here. And if shame on me. I will look into that, and tomorrow we will definitely touch up on that. But now we have to get back to what it is that we want to talk about today. So I have of course prepared a little bit of text, but I want to give you some real examples of how we're being lied to and where I extract my information from. So one of the first things is here. I mean, I hope you can hear me here, right? We got Igor, he's standing here, he's been around for a long time. He's one of the lucky ones because currently in Ukraine, they are inscripting. I mean, when you go down to the supermarket, right? When you sit in a restaurant in the evening, you will see all of a sudden a military bus drive in front. There will come 8 of Igor's friends here, come into the restaurant, and they will ask for identification for every male that is in that restaurant. Because in case he hasn't reported to duty, he better motherfucking do so. And even if he hasn't, had any kind of military, education. I know in Denmark, I'm from Denmark, I know when we turn 18, we all have to go to the military, but we haven't had war since the Vikings. But only 50% of us Danes are being taken to go in to spend 8 months in the army. Now, the way that I really don't know a lot about this, but the way that I understood it is the government would then only call on the ones that actually had some military experience. But anyway, here they're calling on anybody. And my good friend, the dentist who lives next door, who's a fine fella, I like him a lot, and his wife. I mean, he just got inscripted. And currently, people are going to the front. They're not as lucky as Igor and I. Anyway, so yeah, what did I? So let's go. I will try to go in, especially also on some of the recent events, what has happened about the bombings, because this war here is. I mean, there isn't really no war where I am, but because we're 1,000 kilometers away from the zone, but Russia, they're doing strategic. It's almost surgical attacks on all that Western shit that comes in. I mean, all that Western shit that Zelensky is, traveling around the world, getting, opening up new credits. I mean, credits because it got to be paid at some point, right? So he goes out, travels around the whole world, gets, $1 billion there, and a few $100 million there, and another few billion there. It gets, whatever gets, bought from that money for weapons, because most of it probably goes somewhere else, right? In the right pocket, in the left pocket. It's also funny. I mean, Zelensky was a good comedian. He was a millionaire, a little millionaire, maybe something, like Betty. Now he's a billionaire. Congratulations. That's what I say. And I also love what Jimmy Dore, he says, his thoughts about Zelensky.
So there you go. There's your piece of shit Ukrainian president who everybody still thinks is a hero because they watch the news and think it's real. Congratulations, you dumb.
I couldn't have said it better. Anyway, so let's get back to business. And Hope, I can't wait for Tucker to come back. Are you coming back?
That one, guys.
I mean, his laugh, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. And when he absolutely doesn't understand what the other one is saying, he also puts on a good face. Anyway, truth from Fox News, that's over, right? Truths are being eliminated. And it was also funny, in case you didn't know, but I'm sure you did, Tucker Carlson was the most popular TV host with the largest following in the United States. I think maybe even in the world. I don't know, maybe somewhere else in China and India, you got a lot of people there. However, obviously we all know that it is highly unusual for an established media company to suddenly cancel its prime time star, right? Especially when the show is booming, while other mainstream news channels are losing credibility, but more importantly, viewers. I know this is a little bit old news. 2 weeks ago, Fox News, they confirmed that they had parted ways with Tucker Carlson. However, they did not offer any real explanation. But I will explain you why, just in case you don't know the reason. You see, the Western media no longer holds any government accountable. As I said before, it serves only the agendas of the ruling elite. But perhaps some explanation of why Fox News, they would shoot themselves in the foot. Perhaps it will emerge. Perhaps we will get a plausible, logical reason. But on the other hand, it is possible that a scandal will be fabricated. Tucker, together with the old porn star, claiming that Tucker raped her back in 1965. That's probably more plausible. But one of the questions that we should all ask ourselves is, will the Tucker Carlson fans stick up for Tucker? And more importantly, for what Tucker represented? I think it's highly unlikely. Only lions like you and I appreciate or would stand up for those who stood up for us. But you see, in today's world, society, and very few people from society appreciate and will actually stand up for anyone who stood up for them. And this is why the current Western, I would say, society or world looks pretty dark at the moment. The disturbing yet true explanation why Tucker had to go or was fired, we don't know. It is simple. News reporting, especially if it is true, has now been equated, as we know, with misinformation and defamation. And the best example with Tucker was that a large number of experts, they were giving evidence regarding Trump's re-election, that it was stolen. So these experts, they gave evidence from a variety of means, as they say. And one means was the ability to program the voting machines, how to count votes differently from how they were cast. And another was their vulnerability to be hacked. And all Tucker did was report what the experts had said. And the expert had said that the Dominion, and then this Dominion voting system, they sued Fox News for defamation. But of course, if you are a journalist and you report what various experts say or testify, that is not defamation. But we also saw the same thing happening when we had the COVID, right? There were lots of doctors with lots of experience and many certificates came out and said that COVID is nothing but a little bug or, a cough. But if you were to report that, you were fucking doomed as well. So one thing, I'm just going to read a line here. One thing is certain, Carlson's dismissal, the Democrats' attempt to imprison also this Matt Taibbi for reporting the Twitter files that Elon Musk was releasing, the imprisonment of Trump supporters for attending a rally, and Trump's phony indictment obviously sends a strong and intimidating message that freedom of speech and association are dead letter constitutional rights. The Western world has changed. And as truth is no longer permitted, it can no longer make you and I free. And I will also tell you guys something. These are things that I'm probably not allowed to talk about here on this channel. And then God knows we have the littlest channel and I don't have a lot of impact. And these are the things that burn inside of me. Because the world is getting more and more unjust. What is right is left. What is left is right. What is up is down. What is down is up. And anything in between, unless it's a LBGQT something, you shouldn't talk about it, right? Shut up. That's how it goes. So wherever we look or see, free speech is being suppressed. We see law used as a weapon against journalists like Julian Assange, right? I mean, nobody even talks about him. And an American president like Donald Trump and his supporters. The Biden regime, I mean, I wouldn't blame this just on Biden. He's just a cake, figure currently. But anyway, the current Biden regime, they have put 1,000 Americans in prison for attending a rally for Trump by asserting without any evidence that the rally was an insurrection. But that's not only in America, in Europe. You see, in Europe we have seen a lot of demonstrations against cost of living and anti-NATO demonstrations, and also against the war with Russia and Ukraine. But these demonstrations, they have often been sidelined by police brutality, mass arrests, and especially mainstream media silence. And just as they did in order to repress protests against the draconian COVID-19 lockdowns of 2020. Now, I'm not only going to say that the West, it's only US and Europe. Russia is just as bad. More than 4,300 people arrested at an anti-war protest across Russia. I think it was last month. It's bad. So I would say that the main global media is nothing but a propaganda ministry. I don't know if they learned that from Goebbels and Hitler in the Second World War, perhaps even, that goes much longer back in history. But the current, let's say the West's current foreign policy consists only of self-serving policies that ultimately leads to equality or lack of equality and to war. That's how that goes. Anyway, guys, I think that was my little here. I could, go on with some more examples, but I think we should move on to what I wanted to share with you is where can we get some information that is true. And I also need your help because I want to make a video about this where I want to put in more sources than the ones that I will share here with you. So in case that you don't just, I'm sure you just don't watch CNN and God knows Fox and now, especially when Tucker's not there, but all the others, and also in Germany, and it's terrible, terrible, terrible. So before we go into the today's news that we were going to look at some lies from both sides, I want you to hear about Dr. Paul Roberts. He's a good fella. I actually have quoted him or read his work a few times. Here we go. I don't know if you actually know him. I know a lot of you guys, John Mersheimer, who actually is allowed to talk about the U.S. hegemony. But I'm not a big fan of John Mersheimer because if you heard one of his latest speech, he was saying nuclear war like 90 times in less than 20 minutes. It's also not. Anyway, so what I like about this side, Paul Greg Roberts, is that he also has lots. It's not only it's kind of like a database almost, right? Kind of like he takes different articles spread from many other sources. So it's not only his point of view, but I like that here it's almost like an aggregator, almost like an aggregator where you can then find other sources that are, I would say, what I've read there, it seems to be, more objective and more less misinformation than what we are getting from the current mainstream media. So, and Dr. Paul Roberts, he is truly one of the few remaining voices of the truth in the West. And so what his essays they expose the systematic lies of Western mainstream media, because all they do now is provide propaganda rather than news. So he explains the false narratives that are designed to create a public lost in a matrix of misinformation, which conditions people to hate and fear. We need love. The hatred of internal enemies prevents social cohesion that could effectively challenge governmental authority, while external enemies are demonized to make people accept endless war. And exactly that is where I want to point out the LBGQT movement. You see, I'm sure you have nothing against Sister Shelly turning into Brother Jamal. And you certainly have nothing against Brother Jamal turning into Sister Shelly. But we don't need to talk about it 10 times a day. We don't need to watch, even when you turn on a fucking stand-up comedian show. That's all they talk about. It's being shoved down our throats. Nobody needs that. We would actually perhaps even talk about real issues. What's really going on? What has an impact on our lives? But you see, by creating this LB, even that I'm speaking about, I really promise I'm not even going to talk about it. It divides people within the same society. So especially in America, they are good at that shit, I gotta say. Also, when I lived in America, there was also all this racism, white against black. I would not even have thought about it if it wasn't because, you would be exposed to movies and news about whites hating blacks and blacks hating white. I had I had friends, still have, of all colors. I've never ever thought that that should be an issue. But if you keep being reminded of it, we can have a little internal war, and then we, the people, not you and I, because we're lions, but the sheep, they think it's much more important to stand up that a man can swim with the women, and then we can debate that until we get old. That's how that goes on. Anyway, so I think you do get the point, but I want to, as I said, I want to mix it up a little bit. One further thing, even if you get these sources, I mean, we all maybe have some websites and some sources and we can go in and read them. Still, the most important thing is, and this is where I should have a sponsor, right, of these, and what was it, MPV things. Oh, I forgot the name. Jesus, I'm not. VPNs. I myself also use a VPN. Simply because I'm currently in Ukraine, I cannot read anything that is pro-Russian, right? But sometimes it's good. I mean, the Russian media is also full of propaganda. But maybe if you read both pieces of propaganda, and over time, with experience, you will understand who is lying about what, who's lying more, and there are still journalists and there are still people out there that actually have an ability or luck or whatever it is in that moment to identify the real truth. There's also a show still on YouTube which is called Redacted. Every day around 2 hours, 4 days a week. You should go in and watch that, Redacted. But the first thing you should do is get your VPN and read from both sides. Okay, let's go back to some of the daily news, and I'm so fed up with this. So, Zelensky here. No, let's go in, because around 60 kilometers from where I live, we had huge explosions here 4 days ago. You probably have seen the pictures of this huge fireball. So here's a piece of misinformation. Russian forces blew up a warehouse with Soviet aerial bombs near Milnetsky. They say the insider says. And then they point out that what Russia blew up was hardly intended for a counterattack. You see, what is happening now is that we all know Zelensky, he's flying around the world. He is trying to, he is doing a good job in getting, overflooded with money, right? Well done. So what he does is that, I don't know, 30%, I mean, here I'm just speculating, 30% of the money that he gets on credit goes to weapons, and 70% goes to, pockets and other stuff. But they still have to keep this persona, this thing, that for, I don't even know, it's not for the Ukrainian people here, that Ukraine can still win the war. Maybe the Ukrainians, they believed that a year ago. But now, when we are seeing that even my neighbor are being conscripted, grandmas are losing sons and grandsons, nobody did start asking, what is this for? And it was very clear that Ukraine, they really won nothing. And the weapons that are coming, at least, I mean, that's what I believe. I mean, still, you also got to take a gram of salt what I'm saying, right? But it seems to me that the weapons that are coming in from the West are not even able to be sent to the front, because Russia simply blows them up. And I mean, I'm only 60 kilometers away. I mean, we could literally hear and see this, but still the media will come out and claim that on May 13th, and there's just a bomb alarm here behind me. A lot of alarms. There's bomb alarms in the last few days. Anyway, Telegram channels began to spread videos of powerful, almost nuclear explosions over the Ukrainian city. Later, Russian militants reported that the Russian armed forces attacked something, abused missile. So basically, Russia came out and said that they had attacked, they blew up those NATO, Western, uranium-supported missiles. But then the Ukrainian news media comes out and says, no, all they did, that's not true. All they did was to blow up the old bombs from 1965 that nobody needs. You see, here they go in. At the same time, in the video taken in this military unit in 2010, it can be seen that it stored mostly large Soviet-made aerial bombs. They're still, I mean, I don't even know. They're still trying to give people hope. I don't know. Let me know what you think about that. Even from the past few days, now this is called Pravda.com. You don't want to go there. That's just a lot of propaganda and lies. Anyway, U.S. official says Russia lied about destroying Patriot missile defense system in Ukraine. Again, just opium. Opium, but nobody wants this war to continue. Get it over with. And Zelensky has anyway bankrupted Ukraine. You see, when the war started, they implemented martial law. So now, no elections are going to be held in Ukraine while martial law is in effect. Now that's how that goes, right? So actually, it's pretty funny. We don't need to read this. I mean, when there's martial law, there's like a dictatorship, right? So Zelensky, who was a millionaire prior to being president, is now billionaire. He is gonna keep doing what he does best, and that is run around the world and beg for more. But who has to pay? Obviously the Ukrainians. But you know what's left? You see, this is not about Russia overtaking Ukraine. Ukraine has already been overtaken. It's been sold, not to the highest bidder, but to the lowest. You see, getting all that credit and getting all that money, you need to pay. Ukraine has nothing they can pay back with except land, infrastructure. That was one of the first executive orders that our good friend here signed, which is called privatization. So now they are much more busy selling out the silverware, selling out anything and everything in this country that actually has any kind of value. That's almost a year ago that they signed that decree. And that's where I got this lovely transition from our friend Jimmy Dore.
So there you go. There's your piece of shit Ukrainian president who everybody still thinks is a hero because they watch the news and think it's real. Congratulations, you dumb.
He's a soul brother. Anyway, so, well, I think that's enough for today. I think you get the point, and I should also not go too much ahead of myself. But I'm good old-fashioned tired of when we open up the news that it is all full of shit. However, I want to congratulate, and there is still hope. Just like you saw Jimmy Dore, just like we got Tucker Carlson, just like we have Elon Musk. We should be thankful to Elon Musk. Trying to implement the, whatever the First Amendment or whatever the number one constitutional written law, freedom of speech. We should be thankful. But it's funny how the things that should be logical to anybody and everybody, all of a sudden the current media and elite, they are coming up with stupidity upon stupidity of reasoning why we should not have freedom of speech, why we should not have equality, why we should not have the rights given to us by God and confirmed by government and country. We the people are the only ones who can change anything. And I'm trying to do my part. Anyway, so that's about that. That's about that. Let me see. Any questions here? So you should start a geopolitics. Yeah, well, I don't know. Thank you, but the problem is also. Let me go over here. There are a few geopolitical channels, and they also get more views. But you're not allowed. Even I'm not allowed. Today I really went out of a limb. I mean, this channel is so little here. The only thing I will really lose is in Bitcoin we trust. That's true. But I also can't. I mean, I need sometimes to say what I think, and I'm so tired of all this nonsense news. So anyway, yeah, I'm hoping that one day that we're gonna see a platform where we are allowed. I mean, if it's Twitter, then we should move to Twitter. But we are allowed to debate. I'm happy when you point, Shame on me for not knowing that Meta is not working with Arweave. Shame on me. But I'm also happy when we can share and we can debate. Sharing is caring, and this is what it's all about. Yeah. I like blockchain, but you're right. I mean, with Elon, I also had my doubts and so on. But it's like with Elon, I know, be careful. But right now, I cannot really. It's hard to see, right? It looks to me like he's trying to do something good. What I also wanted now, I remember, you should all pay attention to, obviously, the UK Nigel Farage, right, who established the Brexit party. He's still also voicing truth, no misinformation, and he has credibility. And also in Austria, it looks like that the current ruling elite World Economic Forum puppets are going to lose, and it is going to be, as they like to call a populist. I can't say it, but anyway, a good man who speaks simple truth and the way things are, like with COVID. Well, what sense did it make that our children would go to school, but we were not allowed to go to the shops or to the restaurants? I mean, but you don't hear anybody just speak it out. Simple as it is. No, not allowed to. But anyway, in Austria, they're winning from the Party of Freedom, and I think that's a good thing. I think in Italy also, that lady, I haven't followed her so much, but there are cracks around, and I have to say, to me, it seems more genuine and more logic and more reliable and more sensible what the BRICS countries are trying to set up. That's all I got to say about this. Tomorrow we'll go back with crypto. I love you. I thank you so much for being here. And as Chain Reaction says, how is this related to crypto? Well, as an investor, we need to know what's going on, especially from a geopolitical point of view. Even though we think that crypto is going to decouple from the traditional markets, which I still believe, it still is the future of finance. Finance, politics, and geopolitics, they go hand in hand. I love you. I will see you tomorrow.